Welcome to the Family Office, planning for the people who matter most.
Okay, so let's tie all this together, because right now the number one topic trending is the Iranian war, right? Our war with Iran.
It's not even our war. It's not even our war.
You're right. You're absolutely right. So when you look at the longevity potential of this conflict/war, where do you see our way out? Because when you talk about the importance of building an infrastructure, when you talk about making every house a power plant, when you talk about the importance of nuclear energy, all of those things could happen if America decided to focus inward instead of outward. But this war, it takes all of our focus, energy, drive, finances outside of the country. We're talking about $2 billion a day that this war is costing. So what's the off ramp to you? Because I agree, we need to focus on reestablishing America as a dominant fixture economically in the world.
I don't think Trump wants to regime change, and I don't think he wants to spread democracy. He's not talked about that. And Trump is going to do what Trump's going to do what he says he's going to do.
Wait, but he did talk about regime change before. Remember, he made that statement. He said, "Hey, your leader is dead. Please go and take over." Do you think he didn't mean that?
What I mean by that is that he's not going to go in there and do it like a Dick Cheney would, or pass the United States. Okay,
yeah, he can't.
Assad and all that
boots
stuff.
on the ground.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think Trump is a boots on the ground guy. I don't think he is.
Okay,
I don't think he ever will. I hope I am too. I still have faith in it. I think he's got something up his sleeve, but if he doesn't pull it out of his sleeve in the next couple of weeks, it's going to get very difficult. This cannot, it's already going into spring break.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what I can tell you. No one wants to be at war during the summer.
I agree. Why do you think they just deployed, what was the number? It was like 5,000 troops recently into the area. They're making moves, preparing us for some type of ground assault. I believe. I hope you're wrong. I hope you're right, Chris. I want to be wrong. I've been right so much, man. I just.
Oh, what do you mean? We've been right so much. We've been both right so much. For even to say that is an atrocity, and everyone knows that.
Bro, okay, but what I'm saying in this case,
in this case,
is that the war, because when we talked a couple of episodes ago, one of the things that you had mentioned was that, we'll go in, we'll be in and out in a week. And I was like, Chris, Iran is not Iraq. They're a lot more strategically.
I don't think this goes more than 90 days. I don't think it goes more than 90 days.
Okay. So 90 days. I'm writing this down. So whatever episode this is, 90 days from now.
March the 16th. What have we been at war for, or conflict? Sorry, not war.
Since February 28th. So from February 28th to March 16th is roughly 2 weeks. You think roughly 90 days from the beginning or 90 days from now?
90 days from the beginning. I think it's a 90-day campaign.
Bro, okay. If I was a betting man, I'd put a wager on it, man. We'll do dinner when you're out in California.
When I don't... Poly market, it doesn't look favorable for me right now, but I don't care.
Bro, it's not, there's no way, bro. Okay, let's do this. If it's over in 90 days, this is what we'll do. I'll DoorDash you whatever meal you want. If it's still going on in 90 days, on day 91, you're DoorDashing me anything I want, bro.
Why you gotta be so kind about it?
Hey, I'm just saying.
Okay, here's what I think is going to happen.
Friendly wager. I don't gamble.
I love it. I love it. Here's what I say. Here's what I'm saying is going to happen. I think we're waiting for the right people to step up in that region. I don't think it's happened yet. But what I mean is we're waiting for the right because here's the problem. Who would step in and become leadership of that country democratically? There's none, right?
No, the context in which you're speaking does not apply to Iranian culture. That's not going to happen.
How do we get back to where it was before?
You're talking about pre-79?
Mm-hmm.
The only way that could possibly happen would be for the United States to instill a puppet president, which is Reza Pahlavi, and put him back in the office. But but the people there are saying he hasn't been here for 40 years. He doesn't understand what's going on. You've got so many different ethnic minority groups that have different perspective on things. This is the only way that I see something like what you're suggesting to happen. Instead, put Reza Pahlavi back in the office, but only to institute a democratically elected leader that they choose.
Yeah.
But restore. But here's the problem. Why I don't believe
Trump's not going to do that.
But he doesn't have a say, bro. The issue is that already you have the IRGC, which is like the radicalized military arm of the government. And because of them being in power right now, there's a power vacuum. And we don't even know if Mujtaba Khomeini is even still alive. Like, he hasn't made any public appearances. We've only heard somebody translate what he said. He hasn't been around there. There's been another guy who's been walking the streets and so on and so forth. But there's a power vacuum right now. So we don't even know what they want. And because there's a power vacuum and they have such a strong military presence within the confines of their own country, we don't have any say over who the next leader is going to be. And so they've been preparing for this for 40 years, bro. But the only way that I see it happening is if some way, somehow they're able to get Reza Pahlavi to come in, restore some peace, and then allow people to go and vote democratically. But I just don't see that happening.
I don't see that happening. I think what's going to happen is we're going to go in there, destroy the critical infrastructure that we've already destroyed, and make it impossible, like almost Stone Age stuff, and then step back, wait and see. The problem that I think that is going to happen here is that I don't know what Israel's trying to go for. And that's the issue, like you said. It's the tail wagging the dog, and we're going to go and back up Israel no matter what. And that's the problem behind it. I think what's getting ready to happen is that you need a coalition formed in that area amongst other Middle Eastern countries that are surrounded in that area by Iran, because ultimately, if Iran becomes a bad actor, they're all going to pay the price for it. And I think that Trump is trying to form that coalition. And if he does form that coalition, he's going to exit, and there's going to kind of be like a coalition, kind of maybe like fostering Iran, maybe. I mean, because at the end of the day, shouldn't all these neighboring countries kind of go, "Hey, bro, we all need to get our shit together," and start really like holding each other accountable? That's what I think is going to happen. I think I think that you're going to see. I think
what you're talking about is kind of like the Abraham Accords.
Yes, so, but here's the problem that I see, and thank you for mentioning that. I was going to ask you the Abraham Accords. But do you think that a country or a philosophy or a people, and I don't want to insult anything or anybody, but I just don't think that attitude with that group of people is going to sit down and do an Abraham's Accord.
Bro, but it started in 2020, and here's the thing: why I believe that they have the will and the capacity to do it in a really
because they become more beneficial? Isn't it more
exactly? That's the point. So here's what happens. So if the United States can provide security for Saudi Arabia and Bahrain and the UAE and Dubai and Qatar and the different places around there, Qatar, as long as they have the ability to be safe, what happens is it creates stability because they all know that oil is their number one commodity. And the moment that oil goes away, their economy shifts overnight. So the thing that's going to keep them alive and thriving is tourism. And they need tourism and they need stability. And so the only way for that to really happen is for them, as they partner with the United States, to provide that military security, because their water desalination plants are necessary to keep that economy thriving. People traveling there and bringing their currency from around the world. Those are the only ways that they're going to be able to survive, because, when you have such a limited amount of resources with regard to the topical terrain, because, there's so much desert out there, they need this. So they have a vested interest in following the Abraham Accords. They need diplomacy to keep stability in that region. It's the only way they can survive.
Because think about it. Like when you look at Dubai and Emiratis, right?
Yes.
Look what they did. They completely played that playbook and westernized in partner with America. And look what Dubai has done. Look what's happened there. So why wouldn't you want that happen in that area? And you're right. Okay, cool. The nice thing that I don't mind about the United States going over there and being the stabilizer or the security or whatever you want to call it with the request of those partner nations is there's no doubt in my mind that the Saudis, the Kuwaitis, all this, they're going to pay. Whereas NATO countries, they're not going to pay. So I don't mind that. And that kind of goes back into my point where I'm like, Trump is forming a new coalition. And that coalition is worldwide. And that coalition, I believe, is going to look like this. It's going to be Japan, China, Russia, India, and a group or handful, Israel is in there, and a handful of Middle Eastern countries that want to play ball. And that's going to be, going into the next century, that's going to be your balance of power. Those are going to be your players on the table.
I wish you were right, man. But just naming Israel has so many adversaries that makes it very difficult. And China and the United States have an adversarial relationship. And the reason why that is because we're both fighting for world domination.
But we don't, though. Historically.
Yes, we do, bro.
Yeah, but historically, because of the United States, China, we protected the China. You understand?
Only because it was only because it was financially beneficial, because what they were able to do was to reduce the value of the yuan so we can have goods and services cheaper. But now China is getting to a place that if they keep the relationship with Iran and they strengthen their relationship with Russia and get oil from those two places, China will not need the United States anymore. It'll have enough other partnerships to flip the world order, where the yuan could become the world's reserve currency. Okay, I don't think that would happen anytime soon, but you can't tell me that in the next 30 to 40 years that is absolutely going to happen, unless, and I'll turn it back over to you, unless the United States gets supremacy in AI and increase its productivity, and the United States must control the oil in Iran. And that's the reason, coming back full circle, why they're not going to leave anytime soon.
I think that you're going to have a coalition of Middle Eastern countries. They're going to come in there, they're going to play ball, and they're going to do exactly what boots on the ground are designed to do, except they're going to be on the ground. And whether or not we like it or not, Israel's.
Wait, you think they're going to send military people into Iran? You believe that?
I don't necessarily. Well, I mean, wouldn't you agree that stabilizing your region has a lot to do with you being responsible for the countries in your backyard? So
there's no way they're going to.
There's a coalition. There is a coalition that will form. They will form. You'll see that part.
I believe that.
And they will be that. They will be that force. Israel's going to have to step it up in there as well. But I don't see your latter point, I do see America becoming or becoming dominant and having supremacy in AI and technology. I do. Just because, again, you cannot compete with the culture of American culture. You can't, and not even American culture, you can't compete with a capitalist culture and concept. You can't. You just can't, because it's been proven time and time again. Any country that goes capitalistic or leans to capitalistic values has success. And China knows that. And that's why China has become a pseudo-capitalistic nation, where it's capitalist, but it's kind of still more controlled by the government, kind of how we do.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. No
right?
doubt about it.
Price fixing, central banking, all of that stuff, currency manipulation. However, China's manufacturing prowess will become obsolete in the next 25 years. Because manufacturing will not be, the way you and I understand manufacturing will not be the way you and I understand manufacturing. It won't be. And that will eliminate oil dominance, because a lot of transportation, oil will become a niche product for sports cars and gas-powered automobiles and things of that nature, and backups. Because eventually what's going to happen is you will, once AI gets around and once the dots connect to AI and infrastructure and deployment, and you start micro-manufacturing and you start deploying manufacturing into low orbit and energy production in low orbit and transport, like what you hear Elon Musk talking about, once that happens, it's game over, because that's when you're going to see US GDP at 12, 18%, because you are going to see the breadth and the domain of capitalism get unleashed in an industrial revolution. And it's not an industrial revolution, for lack of a better word, whatever that word is, an evolution.
An AI revolution.
A tech revolution, whatever you call that, whatever it's going to be called. And you're absolutely right. We are linchpinning that off, that oil production and all that stuff, to control geopolitical things. But I don't see the enemies stacking up the way the enemies are stacking up. I see the aristocrats and the monarchies of the old world finally dying. And that's most of the European countries. Because they're all monarchies. They're all in this whole thing where, I mean, think about this for a second. What do the Iranian people want? Do you really think they want some close, small group of people to elect the son of the person or whoever it was that was elected? It's a monarchy. No one wants to live under a monarchy. All you have to do is open a book from the Middle Ages of the world. Hell, all you have to do is read the Old Testament.
But here's the challenge with that. I agree with you, but here's the challenge with that, is that people, as we've said many, many times, they're not driven by logic. They're driven by emotion.
No,
so when you have a school that's bombed, that has 150 little girls that are there obliterated like that because of bad intelligence that the United States got from an old military base that the Israelis gave to them, people start to lose their will, because when they see their moms and dads and children killed in this war, then it's like, okay, we need a strong person to go and make the pain stop. I don't care who's in office, just make this pain go away. And so the longer the war goes on, and the longer the propaganda machine is able to live in Iran and talk death to America and death to Israel, their will is going to go down, because every single time a bomb hits, it's more evidence to support their argument. So there needs to be quick change, but again, I don't see it happening anytime soon. It's going to become one of those wars where the goalposts keep shifting. Me too.
I hope you're wrong.
Me too.
I hope you're wrong.
I cannot wait to send you DoorDash, bro. On day 91, I'm sending it to you, man.
In the meantime, if you're sitting here, do some frisking and find defense companies, and to find wartime manufacturing companies and energy production companies and oil and all that stuff, and invest and find ways to do it, because
I agree.
This is not going to change. Mm-hmm. And this thing is going to keep going and going and going and going and going and going and going. And you got to figure out how to profit from it. You do. Because again, if you want to protect, whether you like it or not, you got to figure out how to generate wealth, because it gives you an opportunity to maintain some personal sovereignty. And that's really, I think, what matters the most to anybody, is to be able to maintain your own personal sovereignty. Look, at the end of the day, if you don't like what's going on, if you have money, you can go buy 20 acres in America still and go isolate yourself and go do it. You can.
Yeah.
And there's nothing better than that, by the way. If you like
here's the challenge. There's going to be people watching what you just said, and they're going to say, well, I don't want to profit off of the demise of other people. And
you already are.
For those of you that say that, I understand what you're saying. I understand why you feel that way. Here's the reality, and I believe that Chris would agree with me on this, is the iPhone you have and the Nikes you wear were created by somebody who has a subsistence level of living. Mm-hmm. And because you have goods and services that are affordable, somebody who is impoverished had to create the thing that you enjoy or pick the food that you have on your table every day. And so the reality in the world is that there are haves and there are have-nots. And if you have the luxury to sit on your computer and watch this, regardless of what you believe, you're a have. And so don't try to over moralize it. Now, I'm not saying you should invest, and I don't think Chris is saying you should invest in companies that knowingly hurt people.
No.
That, I don't think he's saying that at all. But you have to understand where the money's flowing and allow you to have more decisions and choices by investing in the right companies right now, because war definitely is a cash cow and you got to be able to take advantage of it.
And here's the glaring reality that no one wants to hear. Okay? You already are supporting all the things that you don't like. You already are, because chances are you have a 401k. And that 401k is invested in this stuff already, whether you like it or not, unless you're picking your own stuff, which most people don't do.
Facts. That's a fact.
And again, like you said, Len, you wear
pension
Nike
plans,
shoes.
They invest in it too. So if you're a
Pensions,
teacher, you're a college professor, all of them do.
All of them. In fact, if you are a college professor or teachers, you probably are making money right now, the fact that this war is going on, because your fund manager is probably invested in oil, because your fund manager is pragmatic and they don't care. Their only job is make you money. Yeah. So it's not emotional for them. So you like that fact. Because I remember back in the day, I had a business partner of mine back in 2008. I used to talk to him all the time. I'd known him since 2001. And he told me his little secret on why he was so wealthy. I said, how are you so wealthy? He said, look, I have a secret, and my secret is what most people never want. You could show me 100,000 people, and 100,000 people won't have what I have. And I said, well, what is it? He's like, well, back in the day, my grandpa struck oil in Kern County. And I have oil, and I get oil checks every month. And I said, damn, dude, you must be loving life right now during 2008, 2009. He said, dude, I'm making so much money right now. I have no idea. And guess what? That was painful for a lot of people, 2008, 2009. There's people losing their entire lives. A lot of people were losing their lives because gas was $5 a gallon back then, $4.80 a gallon. I remember paying $4.80 a gallon in 2009, 2008. While you were suffering, there were people becoming extremely wealthy. I knew one of them. Mm-hmm. Right? And then when oil took a crap during COVID, he was losing his what. Right?
Absolutely.
So you can't look at it that way. Because at the end of the day, you can only look at it this way and go, look, this stuff's going to happen no matter what, you like it or not. So what's more important to you? Sitting back and going, well, I'm going to be a person I'm not going to participate in that. And then 10 years later, guess what? Now you got to bend for other people. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, dude. I just think about it a little bit differently, Len. I'm not going to. I'm going to take advantage of the system so that I can keep my morals and ethics long term.
Yeah, I agree. I hear you, and I think to wrap up this conversation today is that at the end of the day, the world is always going to have bad actors in it, 100%. And it's your responsibility to just make sure you're not one of them. And so, while Chris and I disagree on so many different topics, one of the things that I can say about him is that he has a heart of gold, and he is a family man, and he's a husband, and he's a good dad, and he's a good business owner. He's a good business person. He's a great business mind. And so while we are on different sides of the aisle and stuff like that, even though he's not technically a Republican and I'm not technically a Democrat.
That's what makes it great.
Right, because we don't have a dog in the fight, but you are right-leaning and I am left-leaning, and that's good. But we need to come together and have these conversations while we disagree with each other, so we can continue to learn from each other's perspectives and continue to hopefully give other people who are afraid to talk to somebody they disagree and demonize them and dehumanize them. We see each other's humanity even through our disagreement. And so I hope that we can inspire other people to do the same. So if you are inspired by interacting with somebody in which you disagree, here's my challenge to you. Go find somebody that sees the world differently than you and have a conversation with them in a way where when they're talking, you give them the opportunity to completely express themselves, and you don't listen to win an argument, you listen to learn. And so I hope that's what you can do. Any parting words for you, Chris, before we wrap up?
I just appreciate the opportunity to just have a conversation with somebody on a higher level. Because the thing is that most people today, and I know this happens a lot, is just, you have friends and family, just like you were saying, and you don't want to talk about those things. And we say, oh, you don't talk about politics, religion, and money. It's like, no, you ought to be talking about those things. Because if you don't talk about those things, you teach your kids to be ignorant. And ignorance ignorance allows control.
That's right.
So
absolutely right.
I just appreciate the opportunity to not only be friends with somebody, but to be able to sit and have a debating conversation, or intellectual conversation about very highly sensitive things. But at the same time, we understand we're just having a conversation about it. And that's what makes America great, is that you have the freedom to do that. I don't have to impose my will or my values on you, and you don't have to do them on mine. And we can still operate and still live next to each other and still drive down the street because we want a safe street, in a safe neighborhood with affordable stuff, nice, safe stuff, and go have a nice steak dinner.
Yep, that's right. And I'm going to enjoy one on you in 91 days, man.
Oh, I bet you're not. I bet you're not.
Time will tell, brother.
I bet you're not. Because when Trump finishes his second term and he comes out of office, historically one of the greatest presidents of all time, you are going to wear a Trump shirt or a Trump hat.
Bro. Okay, so this is what we'll do. On day 91. So
you don't even have a candidate to say. That's how sad
That's it is. True, but we have 2 years. So I would be willing to vote for a Republican if the right person was in place. But here's what we'll do. In 91 days, whatever podcast is closest to that, let's do this. Either I'm eating on camera or you're eating on camera, because one of us is going to be right and one of us is going to be wrong. Deal? Handshake, man. Deal. Hey, I hope that you enjoyed this content. We're going to continue to bring it to you. And every single time we're going to look to give you valuable, cutting edge content about health, about wealth, and about current events. And with that, Chris, it's always a pleasure having these conversations.
Likewise, sir.
Conversation has given you clarity on your next steps. Please share this episode with someone who's walking the same path. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss future episodes. And remember, planning ahead isn't just prudent, it's an act of care. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Family Office.